Welcome to the Accomplish More podcast, created specifically for the small business owner who doesn't think small. I'm your host, Gayla Scrivener. This show is where you'll learn practical ideas, hints, tips, and tricks to help you grow your small business where you can leverage your time and to accomplish more. Welcome. I'm glad you're here for the Accomplish More podcast. I'm Gayla Scrivener, and today we're going to be talking about marketing your small business. You know, in the small business, we seem to do everything, and that includes marketing. Now, how much time do you spend on marketing your business? I don't know about you, but it seems like a full-time job, that's for sure. And you've got to take care of your clients or your customers, and so marketing tasks seem to fall short. The tools we have available are great, and it's so wonderful to have things at our fingertips for small businesses to use at an economical price. And there are a ton of tools, but sometimes it's hard to know where to start. And even though we may use the same tools, we all may take on a different strategy using those tools. Now, I believe that we all need the same key things when marketing our businesses. It doesn't matter what kind of business you're in, we all need these 5 things, and I'm going to go over these. A strategy in each of the 5 areas is essential for your foundation. And I'm going to go over them, and you may be already moving and grooving in all these areas, and that is fantastic. But you may be overwhelmed and struggling in an area or two. So, and that's okay. Just get your strategy, do one thing at a time, and then move on to the next. Setting up processes and visualizing how you'll be able to delegate some pieces of your marketing is key in accomplishing more. You'll have to train yourself to think, how will all of this get accomplished? Instead of thinking, how will I accomplish everything? There's a slight difference in the sentences, but a huge difference in mindset. In the first, how will all this get accomplished, you open your mind up. You open your mind for possibilities. Sure, you may need to do things yourself at first, but by creating processes and thinking how you can hand it off later is quite helpful. You may do the task yourself for a while to get a handle on how you'd like to manage it, or you may do the task for a long while until you're ready to delegate, and when it's financially feasible or when it fits well with your plan. At any rate, you need to develop a marketing strategy in these areas that we'll go over in just a bit. In all of these areas, consistency is essential. You see, everything you do, whether it's in person or in digital, tells a story. You have the power to develop your image. Both in-person and digital means give you the opportunity to learn about your customers. You hear so much about brand awareness, and some scoff at that idea. They want results, and they want results now. Brand awareness is more than just getting your name out there. It's making connections. And let's face it, we all have others that are doing the exact same business we're in. What sets us apart? Well, it's us. We are individuals and have the opportunity to connect with our customers, like we've never had before, and it's wonderful. Without the fundamentals in making those valuable connections, your advertising efforts will be far less effective. So let's dive in and talk about the 5 areas. The first one is networking. Good old-fashioned face-to-face networking is so valuable. It's the best way to make a connection because you're going to be seeing the whites of their eyes. Now, there are many business networking groups in any area of the country. And whether it's a chamber of commerce, an industry-exclusive group, seminars or workshops, or something, you need to get involved and get out of your normal business element and start rubbing elbows with others, whether it's in your industry or not. There's various strategies for your networking, and for many, it's a good idea to go to a weekly or monthly networking meeting. That may sound like a lot to do, but it is so helpful. I've been involved in a weekly meeting for the past 5 years. It's helped me to become known in my community. Other times, it may make sense to commit to workshops or seminars. I do that also. And it's not about the education that you receive. That's not the most important part, although it is helpful to receive the education. But even more important to going to workshops and live events is the people that you meet and making the connections. You can do one or a combination of networking, but it's important to get out there and actually talk to people. Even if you tell yourself that you're an introvert, networking is important. Now, I consider myself an introvert. All that means is that in order for me to recharge, I need to have some peaceful time alone. I don't care for crowds or big events. They drain me. But I can't tell you how many connections and actual friends that I have made and will make in the future just by making myself get out there and shaking hands. It's easy to just stay at home and not participate, but most of the time, opportunity doesn't present itself when you're just waiting around. You have to go out and find it. The second thing that I believe that every single business in this day and age should have is a website. The website is our business home on the internet. And whether you're a brick and mortar or a freelancer, an author, it doesn't matter what business you're in, you need an online home, and that's your website. Everything you do in the digital world helps create a picture of who you are. Websites come in all ranges, from simple to complex. They aren't meant to be set up and then never paid attention to again. As you evolve, so too should your website. Now, I look back on the design of my first website, and honestly, I'm a bit embarrassed. Over time, it has changed, and actually, right now, there are things on my website that are in the works of being changed to better illustrate what we do at Scrivener Solutions and how we can help. Now, I chose to do my website myself because that was an area that I wanted to learn, and I decided I wanted to learn WordPress. That's fun for me, but not so fun for everyone. It's good to invest in a website, and with anything, you can invest as much or as little as you want in it. And you need to work with your developer. I've had some clients that hand over their website to a developer, and there's not much communication. And what I believe in is that you need to have some involvement and work with your developer to get the website that you want within the budget that you're looking for. As your budget grows, then you can develop your website to have more bells and whistles, but get something out there immediately. The third thing I want to talk about is to make sure that you are social. Yes, social media is the way you broadcast your message. It shouldn't be your website. There's a difference. But it's a way to connect and build relationships. So your website is your home, is your digital home. Social is broadcasting. Remember that. There are tons of social platforms out there, and it's up to you to figure out where your customers are and where you should be hanging out. Now, don't worry about being everywhere. That's where a lot of people fall short. They think that they need to be active in all the platforms. So what happens? They're not active in any of them. So you'll chase your tail and not be effective anywhere if you try to do everything. Choose one social platform to start with and make consistent posts. Remember, consistency is a way to build trust. The fourth thing I want to go over is email. Connecting with people through email is still an important component of any marketing plan. Whereas social media is broadcast messaging, email is more personal. Now, depending on your business, it would depend on how frequently and what your messaging would be through your emails. And it just depends. You can do personal follow-up messages through email, reminder messages, a newsletter, offers. They're all helpful, and it just depends on your strategy. But again, consistency matters. The last thing that I want to talk about is direct mail. Now, for many, direct mail should still be considered. And in fact, I contend in any business, direct mail should be considered. But I think that most people, when you think of direct mail, you think of these sales flyers and mass mailings. That's not necessarily an avenue that fits with all businesses. There is a perception that digital is where it's at and that direct mail is dead. In fact, we don't get as much mail anymore, and it's even considered special when we do. Even those sales flyers. It's kind of cool to get a sales flyer or a magazine or something in the mail. It doesn't have to be big, extravagant bulk mailing. Simple processes in small businesses going through direct mail is really effective. Take, for example, thank you cards, birthday cards, appointment reminder postcards. In your small business, you may have 1 or 2 a month that you send out. I have one client that it was his process that he wanted to send a thank you card to every new customer he had. For him, some weeks that was 1 or 2 cards. Other weeks it was up to 5 or 6. All very manageable. However, at first he could keep up with it. But later he realized that the task was falling behind because he was so busy with all these other things he needed to do. It was important to keep up with this thank you card process, so he made sure he delegated it. And that ensured that someone was working just a little bit per week website to make sure that social media, email, and direct mail are all equally important. How you use all 5 and your strategy for each will vary based on your business and your goals. One of my clients called me the other day. His name's Jim Urban. He refinishes cabinets in a wonderful way. His process has no dust and no harsh chemicals, and it makes your woodwork look brand new. And if you're interested, you can find him at cabinetrefinishingcenter.com. But he called me the other day because he has a booth at a home show coming up. I always help him with getting a follow-up letter in the mail for those individuals that were interested at the show. That's where his direct mail comes into play for his business, and that's his strategy. But he and I got to talking, and he had someone review his online presence. He was told by that individual that he needed to do Twitter and that they were just the ones to help him with the posts. It just didn't seem right to him. And we started talking because, his average age of his customer is 60-ish, and he hadn't heard any of them or anyone in his circle even using Twitter. The average age of his customer is 60-something, and he hadn't heard anyone in his circle even using Twitter. We talked it over, and really where his customers are, they're on Google. He told me that many of them say that they don't even use the computer, or they don't even have the know-how to use the computer. But then, as he talks with them even further, he knows that they can Google, because he asks, "How did you find me?" "Well, I Googled you." We talked about targeting ads based on search results and being geographically specific. And all along the way, it's important to get to know your customers, and the way to do it is to make connections with them. We're all small business owners, and we have the advantage because we can make the connections that we need to. See, Jim is making connections, and it just didn't seem right for him to invest time and effort in doing Twitter posts when his customers aren't there. He should go to a different area where people are Googling for cabinet refinishing, and then when they move off, then his ads are showing at other pages. That seems to make more sense for his business. We have all these tools available to us right at our fingertips. It's just a matter of using them and developing a strategy. You'll have to adjust your strategy as your business evolves. But as a recap, remember to focus on your strategy for all 5 of these areas, and think about your strategy for all these areas. Where's your networking going? Where are you spending your time? Is it a weekly meeting? Is it a monthly meeting? Is it solely seminars? What is your strategy? Are you getting out there? Website. Do you have a website? If so, have you updated it recently? Do you have a strategy in making sure that it is updated? Social media. Where are you spending your time on social media? Are you spread too thin? Maybe you should cut some of those out. Focus on one and engage. Email. What's your strategy with email? Do you send appointment reminders? Do you send a monthly e-newsletter? Direct mail. What's your strategy on that? Do you send a thank you card after a face-to-face meeting? Do you send birthday cards? Postcards? Each one has a strategy. Work on one, get your process going, see if you can delegate some of it, and then move on to the next. Now, I thank you for listening today to the Accomplish More podcast as we talk about our marketing strategy. I'd love to hear from you. Be sure to drop me an email at podcast@scrivenersolutions.com. That's podcast at Scrivener, SCRIVENER, solutions.com. Tell me what's your biggest marketing challenge. Thanks for listening, and until next time, have a fabulous week.